This is Steel Table Talk and I'm Kavya. I make English tutorial videos on textbooks in the ICSE and IFC syllabi for board examinations. This video is the first in the ICSE Drama series covering the first part of Act 1, Scene 1 of The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. As already mentioned in the thumbnail, it will be covering the things I found most helpful while taking these examinations myself. That is the keywords, the important quotes, references, and most importantly, how to write these answers to get a perfect score. I'll be posting 2 videos every week, so stay tuned. And with that, let's begin. So Act 1, Scene 1 opens in the street of Venice. Now these locations are helpful and useful, important rather, as they'll be asked directly in questions involving extracts. So the first scene begins with the entry of Antonio, Salerno, and Selenio. These 3 friends are, in a way, walking on the streets of Venice, discussing a topic that is Antonio's sadness. Now, the background here is Antonio is sad, but he does not know why he is sad. So his friends Salerno and Selenio try to suggest the possible reasons as to why Antonio might be sad. So Antonio, in the speech, the first opening speech of Act 1, Scene 1, his mood is melancholic. Mood is also asked along with the questions many times. So he says, "In sooth, I know not why I am so sad. In truth, I do not know what makes me so sad. It wearies me, you say it wearies you." In fact, Antonio is tired of being this sad, and as his friends say, they are tired of seeing him this sad. But Antonio is in a dilemma. Now, what is Antonio's dilemma here? But how I caught it, found it, or came by it. What stuff it is made of, whereof it is born, I am to learn. So Antonio's dilemma is 5 things. Number 1, he does not know how he caught it. Number 2, found it. Number 3, came by it. Number 4, he does not know the contents, or number 5, origin of his sadness. So these 5 points make up his dilemma. And now when you'll be writing answers, you'll be marked based on points. So being clear about it is the most important key to scoring well. Now, and such a want with sadness makes of me that I have much ado to know myself. This mysterious sadness has made him, Antonio, feel like a fool, that is want wit, who has trouble understanding his own self. Ado means trouble. Now, one important thing that you have to keep in mind here is when you use these words, like suppose if you happen to remember the word want wit and ado or suit, so please associate them along with their meanings, which you can write as Antonio has been made into a want wit. Enclose them in single or double quotes and proceeded with writing that is fool. Explain it as well, because most of the times when you'll be asked the questions, they'll be preceded by the respective extract in which all these words will be mentioned. So there is your own effort. You have to show the examiner that you actually know it and you have not just made a guess and written the word. All right. So for that, we'll be associating the words with their meanings itself. Now in ICSE, you are not primarily expected to retain chunks or quotes from the passage, from the original text. However, they will work as adornments or embellishments in your answers if you use them. So advisable. Do not use sentences if you can't, but small words here and there would serve as impressing the examiner. So moving on, Salerno and Selenio make guesses to find out the reason for Antonio's mysterious silence. So Salerno begins with, "Your mind is tossing on the ocean." So his entire speech will be focused on how he thinks that Antonio is sad because of his ship being at the ocean. Now there were your argosies with portly sails. He says, your mind is stuck on the sea. Why is it stuck on the sea? Because your big, grand commercial ships, vessels are sailing with their majestic sails on those seas or oceans, and there are various dangers and perils involved in this business ventures of yours that would, if I had them, I would also be sad. So he says, like figneers and rich burghers on the flood, or as it were, the pavilions of the sea, do overpeer the petty traffickers that curtsy to them, do them reverence as they fly by them with their woven wings. Salerno suggests that Antonio's mind is stuck at the sea where his ships are. He goes on to describe Antonio's rich ships with words like argosies, signios, rich burghers, pageants of the sea. Now you see these words are directly picked up from this extract or from this dialogue itself. However, when I'm quoting them in my answer, I will not only use the words, I will also proceed them with their meanings, which is why I have highlighted these important words and also written their meaning alongside. So argosies are big commercial ships. Portly sail means grand sails, majestic sails. Signias are gentlemen. Burghers are important citizens. Pageants of the sea means processions which are moving on the sea, on the flood, on the water. Do overpeer the petty traffickers. They look down upon the small boats that are passing alongside them. So now he says that Antonio's magnificent ships with their grand sails sail on the sea like gentlemen and important citizens of the water. He compares them to majestic processions at the ocean, who looks down upon, means who look down upon is basically a phrasal verb which is used in the sense when we regard people whom we think are less important or less valuable or in any way inferior to us. So he says that your ships look down upon the petty traffickers. Now, what are petty traffickers? That is the smaller boats and vessels, who in turn bow to Antonio's ships to show their respect. Now, here the up and down movement of ships is compared to bowling. Now, your ships are the small vessels. When these small vessels move by Antonio's ships, they move up and down in the water. So this is considered them curtsying, them bowing to show respect as they pass by them. Now here there are specific figures of speech used, which are simile, which is used in like signias and rich burghers on the flag, use of the word like, and as it were, the pageants of the sea. Now, you might be given a question directly as to what, pick out a figure of speech or two figures of speech used here. Now, please keep this in mind. For a safer side, always precede these examples with the definition of the figure of speech. Like when I use when I point out the similes in this extract or in this dialogue, I will always write a simile is a word. Sorry, a simile is a figure of speech that compares one thing to another by the use of words such as like and as. Examples of the same in the given text, in the given extract or dialogue is, and then write both of them within double quotes. And preferably change the ink for extra emphasis. यहाँ पे you won't have to explain it as you'll be expected to directly pick them up. However, if you think you have enough time, then just explain it. That how will you say like signias and rich burghers on the flag? You'll explain that here Salerno compared, Antonio's ships have been compared to gentlemen and important citizens of the sea. Simple. Then metaphor. Metaphor is again a comparison between two things. Now, what differentiates metaphor from simile, as most of us might be knowing, is the absence of words such as like or as. So, metaphor is an implicit comparison between two things without the words as or like. Now, the metaphors used here are woven wings. Metaphor you'll always have to explain. So, you'll write sails of the ship, sails of Antonio's ship are compared to wings of a bird. Then personification is the third figure of speech. Personification, again, you'll explain the definition. Personification is where animals or inanimate objects are given lifelike attributes or qualities. Here, the smaller ships are bestowed the human ability to bow, curtsy, or show respect to Antonio's bigger ships. All right. And likewise, Antonio's bigger ships are also given the quality of looking down upon the smaller ships. Now here an important reference is argosies. Originally, argosy is a ship of Ragusa, a port on the Adriatic near Venice. Please learn this by heart because this happens to be a favorite question of examiners. Commonly asked. Then next is Salerno's part. So he says, believe me, sir, had I such venture forth, the better part of my affections would be with my hopes abroad. So he says that, believe me, Antonio, there is no shame in admitting that you are sad and concerned about your ships at the sea. If I also had such business operations abroad, a large part of my feelings or concentrations would be with my business operations. Selenio adds to the discussion, and supporting Salerno's claim says that if he had such ventures, that is business operations abroad, a major part of his concentration would be focused on them. He would spend his time doing three things. Now, this is important. It is a complete 3-mark question, and these are the exact three things that you have to state. The first is, I should still be plucking the grass to know where sits the wind. You may use it as a quote and then go on to explain it. Now, please, important, do not use 1, 2, 3 as I have here. I have used it to indicate the markers and to like number them. But in the exam, you will be expected to write it in the form of an answer in a complete statement form. So what you can do is, you might prefer to change paragraphs in case you want, or you might continue in the same way by using a semicolon if you feel like commas become too much, or you might also make them into separate sentences by punctuating them with a full stop. So first one will be, Selenio would be plucking the grass and holding it up in the air to see the direction of wind, whether or not it is suitable for his ship. Number 2, what he'll be doing, peering in maps for ports and piers and roads. So he says he'll be looking in maps to find ports, harbors and channels. Meaning are also important. What does Selenio mean when he uses the word ports and piers and roads? So you'll have to explain the whole context. Selenio, in his speech explaining a reason or suggesting a reason for Antonio's sadness, uses these words. He says that he would, if he had such business operations like Antonio abroad on the sea, he would spend his time looking in maps to find ports and piers and roads, means ports, harbors and channels where his ships may take shelter in case of any calamity. Then third thing which we'll be doing, and every object that might make me fear misfortune to my ventures, out of doubt, would make me sad. So he says every object that could be dangerous in any way for my ships would, without doubt, make me sad.
And that's it for one sitting. The next parts will be covered in the upcoming videos. Drop a like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications to stay informed of the next video, which will be up shortly. Stay strong, stay safe, keep faith. See ya.